Hey, hey, gamers, welcome back, and welcome back to me. I have been away on vacation. Today's interview is with Zeromi, who is a 65 Glad on the K-Rune server. We talked a bit about his Twitch TV channel, and we talked about 4.5 a bit. We talked about a variety of things. Anyways, sit back, take a look. I posted one of his PvP videos for you to watch with Mortrid, which is kind of interesting, and enjoy.
About that. Like at first I started streaming just to check it out,
Hmm.
but it just kind of it just kind of blew up. I mean, I don't know. Like I streamed Ion for fun and then a little bit of a following happened and I stream for my fans now. I try to make them all happy.
Right. So how often do you stream?
Um I try to stream every day, but sometimes it'll be like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, normally weekends, due to my busy work schedule and whatnot. So yeah, I try to stream every day, but if I can't, at the very minimum, the weekends.
Right. Tell me a little bit about your history. How did
Okay.
you ever get into Ion?
Okay. The thing about Ion is it's actually, believe it or not, my first like serious MMORPG. I used to be a first-person shooter player back in the day, so I played like Counter-Strike, Unreal Tournament, and whatnot. And then I saw Ion, and I'm like, oh, this looks sort of like Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy Online game. Um, of course, there was Final Fantasy 11 at the time, but I don't know why I didn't try it. But then I saw Ion, and it looked cool, and I'm like, all right, let me try this game. And I kind of just got hooked. I fell in love with this game, and I started at Lumiel server. Um, it was a very entertaining, very dramatic server. I mean, we're talking like everybody went to four sieges, so I was used to that. I was used to my computer lag fest, 5 frames per second, 300 versus 300 plus. No, it was more than that, but people say differently. But yeah. After Lumiel, it got merged into Israfel, new Israfel. I've been in Israfel server for I think like a year or so. And then I transferred over to Karun when Karun came about in 3.0. I remember when NCSoft said they're not going to open server transfers for 18 months for Karun, but they opened it around, I think, month 7 or 8. And I was like, all right, I'm jumping that boat.
How come you decided to move?
For the most part, I like a more positive community and whatnot, and I didn't like the direction that LFG was going. It was less positive, more trolly and whatnot, and even though like I would try to help the faction and whatnot, everybody was kind of shunning me down. So I was just like, I'm just gonna move on and enjoy the game.
I hear you, and that's one of the things you'll hear in like in anyone I've talked to so far, that it seems to be a common theme, and even I've brought that up that it was just so troll like. It's changed. It's been really nice since the 4.0 release. I
It's
see
getting better.
it's getting much better, and I think when they bring out the next release, it's going to be even more so because from what I've read, it looks like there's going to be you're really going to need to be involved in groups. And did you see what they're doing with what they call prestige points and all that kind of thing?
Oh, I love the prestige points more than ever. I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna make a confession. Still to this day, even though I said I'm giving up governor, that's still like my number one dream, like to become governor.
Hmm.
Period. Hands down. It's been that way ever since I fought Mordred. It was like that, like Japanese anime kind of sense. You're like this weak, pathetic character, and then you meet the final boss, badass dude, and then you get whooped by him, and you're like, wow, I want to take this Titan down. That's kind of what sparked the dream of me becoming the governor. I don't think I'll ever become governor, but with this new prestige point system, I think it's going to be better overall because rather than holding, 100 million abyss points to become governor, even though you just PvE for those abyss points, this time you actually have to participate in fort sieges. You have to actually participate in everything, that's faction helpful. World bosses. Yes, they did prestige points for instances. I wish they would do away with that. But the fact that you actually have to participate to hold a rank, that I really, really appreciate the direction that Ion is going.
Me too. Me too. Because I had sent in a little note said, maybe we could like vote or something for who we want for governor, and not to rattle any cages or anything, but it would just be nice to have the person who is out there, the person you're seeing getting involved in everything and getting groups together because it's a lot of work. I mean, I'm sure you know that getting an alliance together, holding them together, giving direction, it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I have to give my respect to the faction leaders. I had a few opportunities to lead and whatnot, and that's when I found out really quick that leading is not really my thing. I'm more of, just a flagship kind of guy. I like to just transform, clear a wave, help the push, help the faction. I just like to be a battleship and help everybody out, and that be it. So at a time, I did want to lead, but now I see that that's not what I'm supposed to do. I'd rather be, someone supportive of the faction, especially in the combat, especially in the siege. That's where I want to help out the most in sieges.
And also with the 4.5, I know we've kind of completely skipped over 4.0 here. Whoops. But talking about transform, did you see what the thing is for transforming now? Or what it will be, pardon me?
As far as I saw, the seeds of transformation is going to be replaced. Instead of purchasing them, like through abyss points and whatnot, it's going to be through the prestige points. Pretty much everything's going to be through the prestige points. I haven't really read all the details yet, but from what I see, abyss points is practically going to be 100% useless except for the initial distribution of prestige points. So when 4.5 hits, if you have like 40 million abyss points or something like that, then you get X amount of prestige points. At least that's what everybody's assuming here. Other than that, um, yeah, you're not going to be able, like AP is just going to be for PvP gear now. Like it has no value over X forming or whatever.
Because I thought that they had said that the seeds of transformation were going to cost a huge amount of AP, something like 30,000 to get the five that you need.
Well, from what I've heard, Seeds of Transformation, they're increasing the price.
Yeah.
I have not heard like exactly how much AP or PP it's going to cost. But
Mm-hmm.
what I do know is that they're increasing the amount of seeds you need to transform. Right now, it costs me 7 seeds of transformation to use a general transform.
Wow.
So I would assume, since somebody said on the forum post, I'm not sure if 80 is correct, but if 80 is correct, then it would cost me like 90 or 100 seeds of
Mm-hmm.
transformation to transform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes it. It just kind of sounds like they're going to make it a little more difficult to obtain that and use it. Which, it wouldn't be. In some ways, it wouldn't be such a bad thing if it's the same for everybody. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll
I think
see.
I think what they're trying to do with Ion, and again, this is heading towards the right direction, is try to limit the abuse of power with transforms. There's a lot of folks out there, myself included, I'm going to confess right now, that would just transform for random PvP moments. I see a Zerg of 20 plus Aelios, and Siege is nowhere near. Hey, I'll just transform and wipe them all out. Um, I mean, that's the nature of the game right now. But with this new prestige point system, I don't think you'll be able to do that. I think you're going to be more conservative if you're transforming. Like, oh wait, this costs so many C's. This costs so much just to transform. It's not worth to transform here. It's worth to transform in an actual fort siege.
Right, right. In a place where it be more appropriate, perhaps,
Mm.
to be transforming. Okay, so and you play 60 Glad or 65 probably by now, right?
Yes, 65.
And have you always played on the Glad then, or have you got other tunes?
For the most part, yes. I'm like 99% of the time on my Glad. I've raised a Templar alt. She's like 45 right now. I just need to get off, my lazy self and get her to 65 and use the arena gear that I've set aside for her. I've also am going to check out into leveling a gunner as well. They seem like a really powerful class and just a class to have fun with, really.
Our fun alt that I started a little while ago as a gunner, just for S&G, right? I just thought
Hmm.
I want to know what it's like, and I was really surprised. I didn't think I'd like it, and I'm having a lot of fun. It's just a fun class to play. I don't know if I'll ever take it anywhere because I love my cleric,
Hmm.
um, but it's fun. The thing is, I think once you level up to a certain point, and that's what I've noticed with a lot of the tunes, you can, for the first however far, but when you start to get into that 4.0 content and you start to need to do groups, you just can't solo a lot of it anymore. So the gunner's fun because you can solo quite a bit until you get up, I think, into the higher stuff. I'm not that high up yet, but I'll find out. I'm just, like I said, and it's always good, I think, just kind of dabble sometimes in the other classes just so you know what you're up against.
Oh yes. Gunners are going to be able to solo a lot of things simply because of their mobility alone. They're able to move and attack at the majority of their skills. A
Yes.
lot of classes have to stand still for their skills, also being known as rooted. A gladiator has to be rooted for their AoEs. A ranger has to be rooted for certain arrows. Um, but gunners, the majority of their skills with dual pistols, cannons an exception. They pretty much are rooted on their cannons,
Hmm.
but the majority of their dual pistol skills. I don't see them standing still. They have a few that they stand still on, but a gunner technically can just run and gun, and that mob would never even come close to scratching them.
Yeah. And it's got not a bad range, but they do have about a 24-second cooldown on most of their skills so far that I've noticed, which is a little bit of a pain, but with that many with that much DPS and the number of skills.
Wait till you see their reload cooldown. You should see that one.
And so, what do you think of the Kirun server?
Korean server, to me, I'm enjoying it much more than Israfel. I'll just make a quick comparison of the two servers. I'm not saying Israfel is a bad server. No, not trying to demean Israfel at all. I left my own personal reasons and whatnot,
Hmm.
to get a better enjoyment of my game. But Israfel, they have their community. Karun has theirs. The thing about Karun is I felt a more of a brotherhood. Whereas in Israfel, when I'm out there PvPing or something like that, I may not, get, off cleric heals off, from some random cleric to beside me or whatever. I may not get a random peel off, a ranger saving me from, a random Templar or sorcerer, Alios Templar or sorcerer. I may not get those quote unquote saves. In Karun, there's more of a brotherhood. Like some random stranger just saves me all the time or whatever. And at the same retrospect, I save, them at times.
Right.
And it feels more like a brotherhood, whereas Ifrithel, everybody's like, for themselves kind of deal. Unless you're like already part of their group or part of their legion or whatever.
Right. Right. So the community there is stronger.
Mm-hmm. I believe so. Even though, despite that, there's like the language barriers going on right now. I think there's like 4 or 5 different languages in Karoon.
Really.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I mean, we have those who speak Korean, those who speak Russian, I believe Chinese as well. But for the most part, we have Portuguese, and of course English.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty diverse, but in my opinion, it's an awesome community.
That's interesting to have such to have all those language barriers, but to still see everyone work together. I find that very interesting.
Well, I think for the most part, the majority of the other languages understand English or limited English to a degree, so that helps out a lot.
Yes, yes, I imagine it would. um, so you got any, for people that are maybe new to Ion, of course there might not be very many, but
Aion is a terrific game. It's free to play. Yes, it's a cash shop, but you really don't need to use it at all. If anything, just go out there, have fun, try to find some friends. Never try to solo, really. Really, soloing is just trying to show off. I'm being 100% honest there. Just stick together with your friends. Have fun. Um, be sure to level up. Unfortunately, Ion's more end game centric right now, so
mm,
you really can't do much until your end game level anyways. Plus, gear progression will be a whole lot easier if you're 65. You'll be able to farm the blood marks way easier, starting around 64. But other than that, Ion's a terrific game. I love it. That's why I play it.
and to get your blood marks while you can for those who are still working on it, because it's my understanding that it's going to get nerfed. So just like they did
Um,
with the Misthrils.
I've heard rumors that the blood marks are going to
Rumors.
get nerfed or something like that. Or
Yes.
they're going to get less, or the cost is going to go up. I don't remember,
Yeah.
but something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you can get them now, get them.
Yes,
Don't
please get your
wait.
blood marks as
Get
soon
them
as
now.
possible because I'm telling you right now, I'm using 60 Augment 2 gear, all right? The Commander
Nice.
60 Abyss, and the blood mark gear is actually stronger in terms of defense, not in
Really?
offense because there's less mana stones. Yes, believe it or not, a plus 10 blood mark plate set would actually beat a plus 10 62 Augment set because of more PDEF, believe it or
Huh.
not.
I haven't looked
More
at that.
PDEF, more PvP defense. Magic wise, not so much. They have less magic suppression, but just overall tank wise, I'm still trying to figure out why the Bollock set is so much better. I mean, I've been watching Trevin's stream and I'm just puzzled, but that's another story.
I didn't know that either. I've heard about taking your weapons and combining them with a bulk weapon. That it supposedly is a really good mix. Like for someone like myself who, if you have a staff or um, a
Bollock
magic
weapons have
great
been.
sword or anything that you can combine. I heard that it's a nice combination to do a PvP with them. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. I haven't had time. I haven't had time lately. I try to, but I haven't had time.
It's okay.
And my last question to you
Oh,
is
uh-oh.
what keeps you an eye on? Like, I know it's funny that your story's a lot like mine. I never played any MMOs and certainly didn't know anything about role playing. And I don't consider myself so much as a role player. But I saw it on the shelf. It looked like it was interesting, and I was completely hooked and never. I've looked at other games, but this is my game. Why is this your game?
Well, for the most part, the PvP, it's very dynamic and engaging. There's a huge learning curve, and it's actually skill based. Contrary to the argument, there's RNG and whatnot. Yes, there's RNG and Godstones and whatnot, but for the most part, the PvP is indeed skill based. I mean, your movement, your skill rotations, weaving, just down to almost everything. It's very dynamic, very engaging. I haven't played a game that required so much in depth on the combat since Super Smash Brothers, believe it or not. And Super Smash Brothers was a pretty in depth fighting game. Um, so yeah, I think it's just the overall depth of the PvP and how many options there are to PvP. Um, to me, I mean, yeah, the PvP of Ion is what keeps me in. I really don't PvE that much. I try to whenever like my friends want me in, but aside from that, yeah, I mean, you'll always find me in the arenas. That's my favorite place. I love Arena of Harmony, Arena of Chaos, and the Arena of Glory.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me and talking to us. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.